All right, everyone, get ready. We're diving into a topic I know a lot of you are interested in. Six-pack abs.
A popular one for sure.
Definitely. And we've got some really interesting sources to dig into today. You guys sent in some stuff from fitness expert Jeremy Ethier, right?
That's right. We're looking at a YouTube video and an article where he claims we can get those sculpted abs without spending hours doing crunches.
2 exercises is all it takes, apparently. So is this legit or just hype? What do you think?
Well, I'll admit, I was skeptical at first. 2 exercises, that sounds a little too good to be true.
Right.
But the more I dug into both of Ethier's sources, the more I realized there's actually some solid logic behind his approach.
Really? Okay, I'm intrigued. So what's the secret?
Well, the first step, surprisingly, is unlearning a lot of the common myths we've been told about ab training.
Like what?
Like that simply having low body fat automatically means you'll have a visible six-pack.
And that's not true.
It's not quite that straightforward. It's entirely possible to have low body fat and still not have defined abs. And another one, all those classic ab exercises we associate with a six-pack.
You mean like planks, crunches, those sorts of things?
Exactly. A lot of those are more about building core strength than actually sculpting those six-pack muscles.
Really? So you're telling me my daily planks are useless?
Not useless. Core strength is essential, but for actually building ab definition, we need to focus on exercises that specifically target those muscles.
I see. So are you saying we should ditch the planks altogether?
Not necessarily. Planks are great for a strong core, but they shouldn't be the only thing you're doing if you're aiming for visible abs.
Okay, that makes sense. So if it's not all about planks and crunches, what does Ethier recommend?
He focuses on 2 specific exercises, which we'll get to in a minute, but the most important thing he emphasizes is maintaining a specific form during your ab workouts.
What sort of form are we talking about?
He calls it the C shape. Basically, it's about rounding your spine and bringing your rib cage closer to your pelvis during each rep, rather than keeping your back straight.
That's different. I always thought keeping your back straight was important during ab exercises.
We've all heard that, haven't we? But Ethier argues that this actually limits the range of motion and prevents your abs from fully engaging.
So we want that rounded back to really target those muscles.
Exactly. It's all about maximizing that stretch to stimulate muscle growth.
All right, I'm starting to see where he's going with this.
Yeah.
But what about these 2 magical exercises he claims are all we need for a six-pack?
Well, for the lower abs, he recommends reverse crunches, but again, with that crucial C shape we talked about.
Okay, reverse crunches, I can get behind that. But what about the upper abs?
Get ready for this, crunches.
Crunches, really, that's it.
That's it. But don't be fooled by the simplicity. It's all in the technique. You're not just going through the motions, you're focusing on that C shape and really engaging those upper abs with every rep.
So we've got reverse crunches with the C shape for the lower abs, and traditional crunches, also with the C shape for the upper abs. Is there anything else we should keep in mind?
Yes. Even though these exercises seem straightforward, form is crucial. You really need to focus on feeling that contraction in your abs and not letting your hip flexors take over.
So it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Exactly. And another important point Ethier emphasizes is treating your abs like any other muscle group.
What does that mean in practice?
It means incorporating progressive overload. As the exercises become easier, you need to increase the resistance, sets, or reps to keep challenging your muscles.
So we're not just doing the same thing every single day.
Right. And just as important as pushing yourself is allowing for rest and recovery.
How much rest are we talking about?
He recommends aiming for 1 to 2 dedicated ab workouts per week. You don't need to work them every day. Remember, muscles grow during rest periods, not necessarily during the workout itself.
That's good news. I'm all for a little rest and recovery.
Me too. So, to recap, we're ditching the idea that hundreds of reps of any ab exercise will get us that six-pack. Instead, we're focusing on 2 key exercises, reverse crunches, and crunches performed with proper C-shaped technique, progressively overloading our muscles, and incorporating adequate rest.
It's amazing how simple yet effective this sounds when you break it down like that. But it makes you wonder, if it's this straightforward, why do so many people struggle to get those defined abs?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of why fitness can be so complex. While these exercises done correctly and consistently can definitely help build those ab muscles, there's another crucial factor to consider.
And what's that? You're talking about body fat, right? Like you can have the strongest abs in the world, but if they're hidden under a layer of fat, well, they're not going to be visible.
Exactly. It's like having a sculpted masterpiece hidden under a sheet. You've done the work, you've built the muscle, but you need to unveil it.
And that's where things get a little tricky, don't they? Because fat loss is a whole other beast.
Oh, absolutely. It's a complex process with so many variables, genetics, hormones, lifestyle choices.
Yeah, it's definitely not as simple as just doing a few crunches.
Not at all. And just like with the ab exercises, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions surrounding fat loss.
Oh, tell me about it. Seems like every day there's a new fad diet or magic pill promising effortless weight loss.
Right. And those things rarely work in the long term. Sustainable fat loss is about understanding your body, making gradual changes to your nutrition and exercise habits.
It's a holistic approach, wouldn't you say? You can't just focus on one thing and ignore everything else.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between what you eat, how you move your body, and how you manage stress and sleep.
And just like with ab training, what works for one person might not work for another.
Absolutely. We all have different bodies, different metabolisms, different lifestyles. So finding what works best for you is key.
It's like we all have our own fitness puzzle to solve.
And that's what makes it so interesting, right? There's always something new to learn, new strategies to try.
I love that. It's a journey, not a destination. Speaking of which, this deep dive has been quite a journey already. We've debunked myths about ab exercises, uncovered the importance of the C shape, and learned that visible abs are as much about managing body fat as they are about building muscle. What a lot to process.
It's a lot to take in, but hopefully it's empowering too, because once you understand the science behind it all, you can start making more informed choices about your own training.
Absolutely. So as we wrap things up, I think it's important to leave our listeners with a bit of a challenge.
What kind of challenge are you thinking about?
Now that we've armed you with the knowledge to sculpt those six-pack abs, it's time to put it into practice. Are you ready to ditch those endless crunches and embrace the C shape? Are you ready to explore those fat loss strategies we talked about?
It's time to take action.
Exactly. Because knowledge without action is like having a gym membership and never going to the gym.
It's a good analogy. You have to put in the work to see the results.
Exactly. So listeners, we want to hear from you. What's your biggest takeaway from this deep dive? What are your goals for your own fitness journey? I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty fired up after this deep dive. We've busted some myths, uncovered some fascinating techniques, and hopefully inspired some serious ab sculpting action out there.
It's amazing how a shift in perspective can completely change your approach to training, right?
Absolutely. And for me, that big aha moment was definitely the C shape. It's such a subtle adjustment, but it makes a world of difference.
It just goes to show sometimes the simplest changes can have the biggest impact. But remember, while we focused a lot on the mechanics of ab training, visible abs are a combination of building that muscle and addressing body fat.
Right. It's that classic 1-2 punch. And that, my friends, is a whole other deep dive waiting to happen.
Definitely. We could spend hours unpacking all the nuances of fat loss.
Which we just might do in the future. But for now, let's leave our listeners with a little something to ponder.
A little fitness homework, you could say.
Exactly. So here's our challenge to you. Now that you've got the knowledge, what action will you take? Will you ditch those endless crunches and give the C shape a try? Are you ready to explore those fat loss strategies we touched on? We want to hear all about it. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep that core strong.